Just 10 years ago, in 2015, Egypt's military looked like a relic. It was a giant, sure, but a sleeping one, stuck with aging Cold War-era hardware. Fast forward to 2025, and it's now considered one of the most formidable forces in the region, a powerhouse whose strength is recognized globally. So how did this happen? It wasn't an accident, and it wasn't a slow evolution. It was a deliberate, top-down, multi-billion-dollar overhaul. The plan was simple: go on a global shopping spree. By striking massive arms deals with France, Germany, Russia, and now China, Egypt set out to build a modern military from the ground up. This is the inside story of the deals, the doctrine, and the vision that powered Egypt's incredible rise. To really get the scale of this transformation, you have to rewind to the years before President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. For decades, the Egyptian armed forces were built for yesterday's wars. Their arsenal was huge, but it was also getting old and was almost totally dependent on one country, the United States. Through America's foreign military financing program, Egypt got fleets of F-16 fighter jets and the parts to co-produce its M1A1 Abrams tanks. On paper, the numbers looked great, but reality told a different story. The military was caught in a strategic trap. Its gear was designed for a massive tank battle in the desert, the kind of war it fought with Israel decades ago. It just wasn't ready for the new threats popping up on its borders. Worse, the political chaos after the 2011 uprising had left its strategy in a state of paralysis. And that total reliance on the U.S. came with strings attached. Washington's policy of ensuring Israel's qualitative military edge meant that the most advanced American tech was often off-limits. So, Egypt had a massive army, but it lacked real autonomy and the ability to project power beyond its own backyard. It was a giant, but a stagnant one. Everything changed when President el-Sisi took office in 2014. He walked into a strategic nightmare. To the west, Libya had collapsed into a civil war, creating a lawless playground for extremists right on Egypt's doorstep. To the east, a terrorists-backed insurgency was raging in the Sinai Peninsula, and to the south, a dispute with Ethiopia over a massive dam on the Nile threatened Egypt's very lifeline. The old playbook was useless, and depending on a single ally was now a liability. This perfect storm of instability became the trigger for the most ambitious military upgrade in modern Egyptian history. The vision had two parts. First, deal with the immediate threats, from terrorism to securing the seas. But the second goal was much bigger: strategic autonomy. Sisi wanted to break free from the limits of having a single supplier and build a military that could defend Egypt's interests on its own terms. This was a core part of his vision for a new republic, with a powerful, modern, and self-reliant military as its backbone. For Sisi, the ultimate guarantee of national power was a formidable military. The decision was made: Egypt was going on a shopping spree to diversify its arsenal and rebuild its forces for the 21st century. What happened next was a masterclass in geopolitical deal-making. This wasn't just about buying cool new toys. It was about buying specific tools to solve specific problems. The French connection: air and sea power. The first big move, and the one that made everyone sit up and take notice, was a massive deal with France in 2015. Egypt shocked the world by ordering 24 Rafale multi-role fighter jets and then ordered 30 more. The Rafale was a quantum leap for the Egyptian Air Force. Unlike its older F-16s, it could do everything: air-to-air combat, deep strike bombing runs, and reconnaissance, all in one package. The deal even included advanced weapons like Scalp cruise missiles, giving Egypt a long-range strike capability it never had before. But the real game changers were for the Navy. In a wild stroke of luck, Egypt bought two Mistral-class helicopter carriers. These ships were originally built for Russia, but that deal fell apart after the annexation of Crimea. Egypt swooped in and grabbed them, instantly giving its navy the ability to land a battalion of troops and helicopters on a distant shore. For the first time, Egypt could project serious power into the Red Sea and the Eastern Mediterranean. The German naval overhaul, guarding the money. While France provided the long-range punch, Germany was brought in to protect Egypt's economic lifelines. With huge natural gas fields discovered in the Mediterranean and the Suez Canal being a cornerstone of global trade, maritime security was suddenly a top priority. Egypt turned to Germany's legendary shipbuilders for advanced Meko A-200 frigates and Type 209 submarines. These state-of-the-art ships are designed to hunt subs and sink enemy vessels. The deal even included technology transfer, allowing the last frigate to be built right in Egypt's own Alexandria shipyard, a huge step towards self-sufficiency. This wasn't for show. It was a cold, hard investment to defend trillions of dollars in economic assets. The Russian and Chinese shield, layering the skies. But what good is a sword if you don't have a shield? Recognizing this, Egypt began building one of the region's most dense and layered air defense networks. And this is where Russia and China came into the picture. The first key purchase was Russia's powerful S-300VM system, a long-range weapon that can shoot down both jets and ballistic missiles. That formed the top layer of the new shield, but they didn't stop there. By 2025, it was confirmed that Egypt was also in the process of acquiring the advanced Chinese HQ-9B air defense system. Combining Russian and Chinese systems with its existing Western gear creates a nightmare for any potential attacker to penetrate. A deal was also signed with Russia for around 46 MiG-29 fighter jets to supplement the Air Force, though reports suggest the full delivery has not been completed. This move signals a new era of military cooperation with China and a clear pivot away from total reliance on American technology. The American foundation: diversify, don't replace. Now, with all these deals happening, it's important to remember this was a strategy of diversification, not replacement. The U.S. is still a major partner. Egypt continues to fly a huge fleet of F-16s and co-produces the M1A1 Abrams tank, which is the core of its armored force of over 1,100 active main battle tanks. Joint military exercises like the massive Bright Star 25 are still happening, making sure U.S. and Egyptian forces can work together. The American hardware provides a solid foundation. The new gear from France, Germany, Russia, and China are the advanced layers built on top, creating a hybrid force that's more flexible and autonomous than ever before. If you like deep dives that go beyond the headlines, take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We break down the why and how behind the world's biggest geopolitical shifts, and your support helps us keep going. So, what does all this look like on the ground? This historic spending spree has done more than just fill the hangars with new jets. It has completely changed Egypt's military strategy, fused the armed forces with the national economy, and cemented its position as the preeminent military power in Africa and the Arab world. The old doctrine of static defense is out. The new focus is on rapid deployment, special operations, and projecting power at sea. New, heavily fortified military bases like the massive Berenice complex on the Red Sea have been built specifically to project power south and east. But how did a country facing economic challenges afford all this? The answer is one of the most unique things about Sisi's Egypt. The military is also a massive economic conglomerate. The armed forces act as the state's primary engine for national development. Military-owned companies build everything from new bridges and highways to the new multi-billion-dollar capital city. They're involved in industries from food production to steel manufacturing. This system generates huge revenues, a lot of which gets funneled right back into modernizing the military, all happening outside the official state budget. The army, in a way, is funding itself. The result is undeniable. Today, Egypt fields a military that rivals wealthy Gulf states like Saudi Arabia for regional dominance. Its ground forces are enormous, with one of the world's largest inventories of tanks and artillery. Its new navy can assert control over the Red Sea and Eastern Mediterranean, and its layered air force and defenses act as a powerful deterrent. This new strength gives Egypt a credible hand in its dispute with Ethiopia over the Nile and solidifies its role as the region's top security broker. In less than a decade, Egypt pulled off one of the most incredible military turnarounds of the 21st century. Driven by threats on all sides and fueled by its unique military economic model, President El-Sisi transformed a stagnant force into an autonomous, top-tier powerhouse. By cherry-picking the best technology from East and West, Egypt built a hybrid military perfectly tailored to the modern era. Today, at defense expos like EDEX 2025, Egypt isn't just a customer, it's showcasing its own domestically produced hardware, from armored vehicles to drones. The country is shifting from being just a buyer to a producer and a new player in the global defense industry. But this meteoric rise comes with big questions. Can Egypt really afford the staggering long-term cost of maintaining such a diverse arsenal of American, French, German, Russian, and Chinese equipment? The logistics alone are a nightmare. And while the military's economic empire has paid for this growth, what does that mean for the future of the country's civilian economy? One thing, however, is no longer in question. Egypt is once again a major military force to be reckoned with. How this new, more assertive Egypt chooses to use that power will reshape the strategic balance of the Middle East and Africa for decades to come.